A single phone call was enough to make a young woman willingly take off her clothes in front of everyone. This isn't sensationalism. It's a true story that happened in Kentucky, at a fast food restaurant, on a busy Friday afternoon. The manager, Della, suddenly received a call. The caller identified himself as Officer Daniels and said he had just received a report that someone had lost a wallet in the restaurant. The caller accused a young female employee, Becky, of stealing the customer's wallet.
Becky?
The caller asked the manager to cooperate with a remote investigation, following the caller's instructions. The manager summoned Becky to the back room. Becky was stunned by the manager's accusation. Since she was a cashier who had never left the register, how could she possibly have stolen a customer's wallet? But the manager didn't listen to Becky's protests. Instead, he asked Officer Daniels what to do next. The officer instructed the manager to search Becky's personal belongings. The manager just wanted to help the police resolve the matter as quickly as possible. So he completely ignored Becky's resistance, dragged her into the changing room, and searched through her belongings. Still, they found nothing. Just then, the officer made an unreasonable demand. He told the manager to detain Becky in the office until the police arrived to investigate and make a decision, following the officer's instructions. The manager handed the phone to Becky. The officer ordered Becky to hand over her wallet immediately. But Becky explained she hadn't stolen it at all. After hearing Becky's defense, the officer made an even more outrageous demand, citing the need to gather evidence for the case. He ordered the manager to conduct a strip search on her, stating that if she refused to cooperate, he would arrest Becky on theft charges to prove her innocence. A helpless Becky had no choice but to comply. But then Daniels insisted that the search must be conducted in the presence of a third party. With no other option, the manager called in another female employee. And so, piece by piece, Becky's clothes were removed. But the so-called stolen wallet was never found. The female employee was also convinced of Becky's innocence and promptly brought an apron for Becky to wear. After the search concluded, the manager intended to return Becky's clothes to her, but was sternly rebuked by the fake police officer. He demanded that the manager gather Becky's clothes and store them in a secure location, stating that they would be searched again once the police arrived. Upon hearing this, the manager had no choice but to put Becky's clothes away, hoping the police would arrive at the restaurant as soon as possible. But Daniels said he was taking a statement from the person who filed the report. The manager felt helpless upon hearing this, because the fast food restaurant was crowded with customers, and they were in desperate need of extra hands. But just then, Daniels came up with a solution for her. She should find someone to temporarily watch over Becky. And for safety reasons, it would be best if it were a man. At a loss, the manager accepted the suggestion and immediately called over a male employee. The male employee didn't believe for a second that Becky had stolen a wallet, but the manager insisted that they all trusted Becky. The situation simply required the police to come and investigate. The male employee felt extremely awkward when he saw Becky and could only pick up the phone to plead with Daniels. But Daniels replied that if he wanted to prove Becky's innocence, he should remove her apron and search her again. The male clerk immediately lost his composure upon hearing this. He refused to comply and walked away. At that moment, Daniels threatened him in a stern tone, demanding that the manager follow his instructions to the letter. Any problems would be his responsibility. Fearing he might offend Daniels, the manager began to apologize. The manager had no choice but to find someone else to watch over Becky. Just as the manager was at a loss, her fiancé rushed over, so she had her fiancé watch over Becky for the time being. But Daniels stuck to his original demand, insisting that the man remove Becky's clothes for inspection. The man was utterly shocked upon hearing this. Seeing that the man refused to obey his orders, Daniels immediately threatened him, stating that if he didn't comply, he would be arrested for aiding and abetting. The man panicked upon hearing this, and hurriedly did as he was told, and removed Becky's apron. Seeing his plan succeed, and that these people were obeying his every command, Daniels moved on to the next phase. He ordered the man to verbally describe everything he saw, even instructing him to slap Becky, while telling her not to steal again. Faced with such humiliation, Becky could only endure it in silence. But as his demands grew increasingly outrageous, the man was on the verge of a mental breakdown. The manager had just walked in from outside. When she saw her fiancé about to leave, everyone froze in shock. She immediately called the police station to verify the situation. It turned out there had been no report of a theft at the restaurant. They had all been deceived by a psychopath impersonating a police officer. The police arrived at the scene quickly. They quickly identified the suspect. What was even more terrifying was that in cases like this, there were many other victims like Becky. Although the restaurant Becky sued paid out a massive settlement, the deep psychological trauma she suffered could never be fully healed. Obedience is not always a virtue. Sometimes, it is the beginning of evil. May we all keep a clear head and hold fast to our principles, neither becoming puppets of authority nor accomplices to evil.